Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see, we have the Corvette behind us, and what we'll be doing today is actually a follow-up to a video that we did probably 2 or 3 years ago. And what that is going to be finishing the competition seat conversion for the bottom half of our sport seats, the competition seats. You guys will see that we've got a foam, we've got one of the seat covers, and we've got the seat heater, but if you guys look carefully, these actually have the fan in it. And as for the seat cover, guys, when I actually bought the top half of the seats, the ones that are in the Corvette today, you guys really can't see that, but you know, the top half of those competition seats, I actually bought the full leathers, so the top and bottom. They've just been kind of sitting in storage for the last 2 years or more. And I was like, well, let's go ahead and finish up this modification, because what we're gonna have to do to get the seat coolers to work, we're gonna have to pull the seats out anyway. And it's like, well, while I'm gonna have to take the seats out, I might as well go ahead and finish this conversion. So you guys will only notice parts for the driver's side. That is because I've been trying to order the passenger side, and it came in stock for a little while. I should have bought it then, didn't really think anything of it. And right now it's kind of like forever out of stock. So we might be running one full competition seat, one half converted competition seat. I'm just not sure. And the reason the passenger side keeps going out of stock is because the passenger side is not just foam. It is also the passenger occupant seat sensor. So if you guys have a passenger sitting in the passenger side, that basically completes a circuit, sends the signal back to the BCM, and tells the dashboard and the passenger side airbags to arm, to basically, work properly. So, yeah, and one thing I just noticed, the foam that I ordered, or at least the foam that I got, does not have the cutouts for the little fans. Now, I'll be honest, when I ordered these, I wasn't sure if I was gonna be missing a piece. And what I mean by that is, if you guys order the cooling fan, there's actually a duct and a whole like bladder system for the back of the seats. I'll have a picture of that here. And so when I got the parts for the driver's side seat, I was like, yeah, I don't know if we're missing anything. Well, one thing I've noticed is the foam does not have the holes cut out for the fans. If you look at the parts diagram, this whole setup is not very clear. There's like, it shows a pad, but it doesn't show the actual fans. And when you order the seat foam, it doesn't say anything about holes being in the seat foam. Now I will actually show the correct pad here with the part number, so you guys will see the top and bottom view of the seat foam with the 2 holes in it. And honestly, guys, I think it was like $36. I think this might have been $30. I'm not going to try to return this thing and deal with shipping and all that. All we've got to do is cut out 2 small holes. So we'll cut a hole that will fit the fan, and then I think it looked like, GM actually had a funnel. We'll try to incorporate something like that. And this is seat foam. All you need is a knife and a marker, and go ahead, basically mark your stuff and start getting ready for it. So how we're gonna do this, we're just basically gonna lay the pad over the seat. And the one thing we're gonna have to take account of is if I just put the fan where this back fan is, that's literally right in the middle of the seam. So you're gonna have to account for some of this mesh to fold in the seat here. So that actually goes down, about a fingertip, so about 3/4 of an inch. We're gonna have to take 3/4 of an inch out of this pad. Now we're physically not gonna cut it. When I install this, we will physically glue and push this down into the little ridge here. And then, so what we're gonna do is probably put this hole in the middle of this one. The front one is basically wherever we want it, because we just have to line that up. So, all right, we have basically taken the inner ring of the fan. I basically stuck a marker through here and mocked it up in the middle of the panel for the back vent as well as the front vent. And I think this is gonna be pretty simple. Now guys, there is one other thing. There is this back little pad. If you guys can refer to the picture on my phone, you can see there's a little cutout in the back. It looks like they may have accounted for some room here, so we may take a small layer out the back of here. I'm gonna do that last. What we're gonna do is go ahead, cut these holes out, get everything glued and attached. There are 3 adhesive pads on here. We'll get this all pressed in here, and we'll make that decision if we want to cut that last, because if you guys can see, you know, right now nothing is lining up, but like I said, you have to take into account that there's 3/4 inch of a line here that we need to press this line as well as this line right here, and that should line everything up. All right, guys, you can see we've made a bit of a mess on the floor, but that's all right. We just ended up cutting out the 2 channels for the fans. You guys can see there's one here, there's one here. Now this is not permanently affixed. I haven't taken the adhesive back. So there's glue here, and the entire bottom is also glue. All right, guys, you'll see the adhesive back pads that we were talking about earlier. The glue is already on the heating element and the AC fan. Then you will also see I have a bottle of 3M90. This is basically contact adhesive. It's good for upholstery. I've used this 90 in multiple other projects. So the 3 spots I ended up gluing were around the fans. You guys can see there's a little bit of overspray right here. I tried to clean that off real quick. But yeah, so I basically put that 90 adhesive on the pad for the heating pad as well as the actual foam itself. Same thing for the back here, this little piece right here. I didn't want that flapping around, so adhesive on the foam, adhesive on the pad, good to go. And same thing up here up front. You know, the foam, the pad, let them dry a little bit, and then just squeeze them together. I think I just held them down for 20-30 seconds each, and you're pretty much good to go. So the main thing with this seat foam is, you see these little plastic rods? We're gonna wanna get those stuck in these little orange clips right here. So there's 3 per slot. So middle, side, and side. So we're gonna hear that. We're gonna want to hear that click 3 times. So here, here, and here. The back. There's a middle, the 2 sides, and then on the back. I don't think we're gonna have to worry about this now, but this will eventually tie into the seat frame. All right, guys, this has been going pretty well. Basically, you see the blue nylon piece. We're trying to get that into the orange piece. You guys just heard that snap in. So yeah, that's just the basic thing. Trying to line up the blue nylon piece, click it into the orange piece, then we'll worry about the sides later. But you know, that's the main piece, because you want these to be lined up properly within the channels of the foam. All right, guys, so there is the finished lower seat. I'll be honest, I know it's wrinkled. I know that it probably needs to be stretched a little bit more. And that's pretty much gonna be about it for the driver's side. You guys can see our 2 holes here. There's one here. There's also one over here. And so yeah, that is gonna be half of our lower competition seat conversion. Like I said, I'm still waiting on the foam on the other side. I basically need to track that for the next couple of months or whatever it's gonna be. And we will pick this project up when we have both of them done. Then we want to install them on the car. All right, guys, so we're picking up the seat project wherever we left that. I'll be honest, I feel like I worked on that 2 months ago, but we finally have the passenger side lower seat foam. This came as a kit, and it was several $100s. I think it was $280, something like that. But it came with seat foam. It came with a new pad, heated pad, and the seat fan, as well as this is the passenger side occupancy sensor. This is for the airbag and all that kit. And then if you guys can see, this kit actually has huge holes in it. If you guys remember what we cut a couple months ago, we only cut probably like 1.5 inches. These all look like they're a solid 2.5, almost maybe 3 inches. So yeah, I hope we don't have an issue with that. I don't think we should, but yeah, we definitely have smaller holes for the lower fan on the driver's side than we do the passenger side. So we've already shown you how to put this together, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this done off camera, and when we're ready, we should have both seat foams ready to put on the car. So we're obviously gonna be a little while until we finish this project, because if you guys have been paying attention to what's going on around here, if you guys can see, the motor is half in the car, the other half is right here, cylinder heads, blower, all that stuff. We gotta finish up that project first, because A, I need to get the car running so I can back it out of here, pull it in this main bay, pull out both seats. All right, guys, I apologize for the fans, but it is yet another 95-degree day. And yeah, so what we have here is the finished passenger side lower foam. And this went together real easily. All I did was I took the outer leather cover, and so I let that sit outside for like 2 hours. I went and got lunch and came back, grabbed it, and the cover was nice and toasty. Now with it being really warm, that allowed me to really flex it. I was able to get the blue plastic pieces snapped into the orange retaining clips on the bottom of the seat on all three. So all three of those ridges right there, those all clipped in without issue. I put the Velcro down on both sides right where it needed to go. And that's pretty much it. All right, guys, we're gonna continue the seat project. You saw us basically reupholster those new foams. And what we have below us is the driver's side seat. You guys will see we've got some adhesive pads and we've got a heating pad here that we have just installed. Now, when I installed this seat like 3 years ago, or at least when we first did the conversion for the back, you know, because we had the Sport GT seat, converted it to the competition seat, I never put this heating pad in place, and that was because I did not have a way to control the heating pad, so kind of just threw it in a box, let it sit for a couple years. Well, finally the aftermarket has caught up, and now we have a aftermarket setup that will allow us to control the C7 heating and the cooling with some knobs that will actually go into the dash. So we will get to that here in a second, but just kind of want to show you what we had to do first. That was basically open up this top of the seat, put the heating pad on it, glue it down, use some adhesive down here to, you know, make sure everything's glued. And now we can basically go ahead and put the cover back on the foam. And you will also notice we have the bottom missing. That is because we're gonna be going ahead and install the competition seat bottoms that we covered. But what I went ahead and did, I've already gone and removed all of our wiring that we had put together for that conversion. I'll have that video link up above, but basically just our little adapter box, all of the weather pack connector, the clips that we had used. These are actually the pins right here that go to that switch, and then the other end of this was the other end of the weather pack, and then these are actually the power supply. So I had two of those wires going to the top and the bottom, basically controlling the AC for the cushion behind you and then the cushion below you that you're sitting on. So when I did that install, I was very careful with what I cut and what I removed. The wires that we cut, what I had done, I just wrapped the end in electrical tape, and I'm glad I actually did that because, you know, lo and behold, 2 years later, I'm here undoing all the wiring that we did, and basically you guys will see these two heat shrink and joined wires. So the red to red, the black to black, those were the two power supply wires that we cut and then basically split going up to the back, like we said, in the bottom. Back here you will see another cut harness, but the fact that we're doing the bottom seat conversion, I really don't need to worry about that. I can go ahead and throw this bottom cushion away because we're not using it. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that we just reconnected our red to red, black to black, and just like that, it looks like we haven't even been in here, and now we have all of our connections ready for the new adapter harness to go plug into here, and then whenever we get the new bottom pad in, that will plug into here as well. So you guys might be wondering, why would I pull all that work that I did in that seat to make everything work? Well, there's two reasons. One is I never liked the fact that I only had the control for the air conditioning. I did not have control for the heat seating pads. And as you guys just saw, we did install that upper seat pad into that seat that we had installed like 3 years ago. So the second, I actually found a kit. The guy is named, I think it's Dan Maloche or Darren Maloche. He's up in Canada, and he has a plug-and-play full kit with the power adapter harnesses to go from the C6 seat to the C7 seat. He sells all that. I think it's about $800 for everything. So when it comes down to it, all we really need is a controller that can control both the heat and the air conditioning for the seats. And you guys will see this box right here. This is our controller, and basically everything plugs into this, and then you basically run your harnesses out to the seat. So the kit that Maloche sells, all you have to do is disconnect your wire harness, put in his adapters, run this through the car, and then run it up to the dashboard. So you guys can see there is a Deutsch connector here, There's another set of joist connectors there, and basically your harnesses should be long enough to run through the interior up until the dashboard. And as of right now, there's actually no dashboard in the car. I don't know if you saw that video or not, but basically it's part of this 2011 wire harness conversion. And as you guys can see, there's nothing really in here. We're well on our way getting it back together, but like I said, I don't know where you guys will see this seat update video in this series. So I think you would have already seen the interior video, but maybe you had. We will have a link to that video up above as well. So yeah, so the interior is torn apart, which is perfect for us because this is the perfect time to do all the seat conversion stuff. You guys may have noticed another C6 seat bottom. This came out of a 2009, I think a Z06. I saw it on eBay. I basically started pricing out all the stuff for the airbag constraint, the passenger occupancy sensor, and everything for a 2009 plus Corvette. And I saw this on eBay for 200 bucks. Messaged the guy if he would take $180 shipped, and he agreed. So I saved a little bit of money there. And basically what I needed out of this was only the seat harness. And then you guys can see this harness is out of a 2009 plus Corvette C6. And that is because I want the airbags to work and I don't want any messages on the dashboard. So unfortunately I had to spend a couple $100 to get this, just the harness, but it is what it is. And basically what we're going to do is use this harness, zip tie it up underneath the C7 seat like we did previously. Actually, you guys can see the 2005 harness over there. I needed this for the airbag stuff, and let me show you that here. This airbag basically pins into the seat, and at the end of this passenger occupancy sensor, there's basically a map sensor. And I was like, what if we run the C7 seat pad, swap out that sensor for the C6 proper part number, and then we wouldn't have any, because this pad right here is way bigger than the one in the C7. The C7 is actually this size. This actually came with the foam pad for the passenger side. You guys can see this is way smaller. And the reason that is way smaller is because the bottom of the seat has the air conditioning fans. You guys can see them right there. And that needs to be able to draw air from underneath the seat and blow it on you. So, unfortunately, the C6 stuff won't work, but I did get the part number for that map sensor. Found it on Amazon for 20 bucks. It should be here, I think, tomorrow. So what we're going to do, use that C7 passenger occupancy sensor, that little bladder, this right here. I will cut this sensor off, put the C6 sensor on there, plug the C6 sensor and everything. There's a little module, actually this module right here. We will plug that in. So hopefully by doing it that way, using the C7 bladder, C6 sensor, C6 seat wiring, the adapter from Vetworks, and then on top of that, the adapter from Moloche. We've got a lot of parts here now that I'm thinking about it. This hopefully all works together to where we won't have any airbag warning lights, because the 2011 harness that we have basically doesn't have an airbag sensor that's unplugged. And then to make this whole conversion project even a little bit more complex, we are swapping out the GT seats for the competition seat lowers and the new seat foam, the new air conditioning fans, the new heat pad, all that stuff. So yeah, long story short, passenger seat can be really complex. Getting that passenger seat occupancy, airbag stuff, all that working. Driver's seat, all we had to do, install that heating pad, swap the bottom, install that adapter harness from Moloche Design to control the heat and cooling on the seat. That's pretty simple. Passenger side, all that stuff we just rambled on for like 10 minutes, all that's going in. So yeah, we've got a lot more work to do on this one. All right guys, so it's another night and another project, and you guys will see we have the passenger side seat over here torn apart. And yes, you guys can see what looks like neon blue paint, but what that is actually rust converter. So the driver's side, you guys may have seen an earlier clip where it looked pretty nasty. Well, for some reason, the driver's side seat, when I took the cushion off of it, it brought a lot of like surface metal, not real thick, heavy duty rust or anything like that, but it just looked terrible. And I have this bottle of Loctite Extend Rust Neutralizer. And since this is basically going to be in the car, you'll never see it. It does not need to be top coated. The passenger side seat had some surface rust on it, but not nearly as bad as the driver's side. So if you guys remember, like, 3+ years ago, maybe even more, I got these seats out of the junkyard, and they were just the standard C7 GT seat, as they call it, and we did the rear conversion, you know, a couple years ago when we installed these. Then you guys can see we have the GT bottom, and we've got the competition seat bottom right here. So this is brand new foam. This is the cover that you guys saw us put on earlier, and really the only difference between the competition seat bottom and the GT seat is one extra line. You guys will see there's 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the competition seat. The GT seat only has 1, 2, 3. So basically there's just an extra line right here where the seat foam, the heater, and the air conditioning pad all kind of sit together. So that's really the only difference. Here is the finished seat. We've got the cushion installed. Got the control panel on the side. We got that installed. And that's pretty much it. And also, you guys will be able to see the red stitching here matches the red stitching down here. Yeah, just sitting down in the seat, I can kind of tell it's new foam on the bottom, because the old one, it wasn't really super worn, but you know, it definitely had some age to it. And with this being brand new, you know, it's definitely a little bit more stiff. But yeah, so I think we're good here. We basically need to wait for the passenger side to dry. All right, guys, we are in the middle of the passenger side cushion swap. You guys can see we have basically the cushion back on. You just have to fold everything around the seat. There are some parts of the foam over here that needs to go up and over the seat. That's on both sides, so the back needs to get folded around the seat frame on both sides. And then on the bottom, you guys will see we have what I'm calling the map sensor, but it's the passenger occupancy sensor. That is, you know, you see it run through the seat, this little clear tube. Here is the C6. Well, I thought this was just filled with air, but actually, guys, this is filled with some kind of oil. I don't know the exact type of oil, but the sensor we have on here, this is actually the C7 sensor. And when I popped it off this one, it started spewing fluid out. Quickly plugged it with my finger. Then I grabbed the sensor off of the C7, put that over here temporarily, and then I put the C6 sensor over here on the bottom of the seat. All right, guys, I have been on the floor for a number of hours just working on the passenger seat. I still haven't finished the driver's side, but lessons learned from this will transfer over to that. We should be able to knock out the bottom of the driver's seat in just a couple minutes. But yeah, so as you guys can see, we have a crap ton of wiring in here. Basically, we have the C6 harness in here. That's where this heater box comes from, the module. There is the airbag passenger occupancy sensor module behind it. You'll see I drilled a hole right here, ran a zip tie through it. Then there's already a hole in the bottom of the seat, ran a zip tie through that, so that ain't gonna go anywhere. I ran the power line, the main line going to the adapter. You guys can see our red electrical tape here. That is actually the adapter from Vetworks. The pin backed out of this connector actually, so I ended up having to kind of salvage the pin. That crimps down like a weather pack, so I basically just pulled the tongs back a little bit that presses down onto the wire. I twisted the two wires together because there are two wires going through that. Put the pin back in there. I used my weather pack crimper, crimped it really hard, and that ended up getting a pretty good connection. So we put that, and then I ended up wrapping that in tape just so that those two wires that are coming out of that one crimp that backed out, so that they stay, you know, in one spot. And then you can see that plugs into here, the C7 seat. You will see that I have 2 taps on here. Now, I don't know if that will be the permanent install of those 2 power wires, but basically the harness from Moloche needs a power ground. So we tapped into the power of the ground on the Vetworks harness. Then it also needs a 12-volt ignition signal. So if you read the instructions from Darren, he tells you to go ahead and use either A1 or B3. Well, B3 was the easiest one to get to, so we tapped into B3 as well. And then you'll see this wire right here. This is actually that wiring going to this passenger occupancy sensor right here. This is the C6 sensor like we showed you earlier. Well, the harness for that is seriously about 8 inches short, and I happen to have a number of different colors. So green, yellow, and gray. I replaced the gray with black, and I was able to extend that harness just a couple inches. Now, now guys, there are 2 3-pin harnesses that look like a map sensor. There's the one back here, it's gray in color. That's the one you're going to want to use. All right, guys, we just published the video about the interior swap, and we've actually made a bunch of progress since I released that video last week. You guys will see we have most of the dash together. We've got the driver's side 100% together. Passenger side's 100% together. Center, yeah, we've got a project to work on in here. We actually have 2 projects. One we'll tell you about, one will be for a future video. But did want to show you that we did get the harness from Moloche Designs ran through the carpet. Basically, Darren told me to run it down the trans tunnel under the carpet behind the front cleats for the seats, and then run it through the middle here and pull it up where the main harness is. So we'll have this harness here. If you guys can see on the driver's side, we got the same thing. And now we're basically ready to install the seats. As you guys saw earlier in the video, we basically reupholstered the bottom, replaced the GT seat with the competition lower on both sides, on the driver and passenger. Passenger side, we had to do a lot of wiring, swap out the C6 harness from the 2005 to the 2011. We swapped the airbag sensor, all that stuff. So that's ready to go in. And basically all our plug-in points are basically going to be the same as we had earlier. We just have one additional harness. So you've got the main seat harness here, the airbag harness, and then you're going to have the new harness for the HVAC for the heater and the cooler in the seats. All right, guys, I just finished putting in the passenger seat. You guys can see the driver's seat is also installed. Yes, the passenger seat is slid all the way forward. Unfortunately, the way the adapter works on the passenger side, you don't plug into the adapter from the C7 seat. You actually plug into like the sub harness, if that makes sense. So unfortunately, my quick, easy fix with the driver's side, I was able to move that up and down with the power probe. The passenger side's a little bit more difficult and don't have quick access to it. So we're just gonna leave the passenger seat where it is for now, but the accomplishment is both seats are in, both seats are fully hooked up. You guys can see the airbag sensor in the back there, that yellow plug. So there are now 3 plugs in each seat. So overall, I mean, the car is looking a lot more like a car than it was a couple days ago. I need to get the center console in. I need to get the steering wheel on. I was kind of leaving those out because we have 2 projects for each. And actually, the center console will remain out for the remainder of this project. We do have some stuff to show you on it, but basically, I'm going to be dropping the transaxle in the back, and I need access to get the shifter out, get that fully disconnected so that we could drop the torque tube and everything. All right, guys, our parts pile is getting way smaller than it was over here, so we're slowly getting more parts inventoried, more parts onto the car. These 2 boxes right here, that is the steering box, pedals, and one of my steering columns. Then up here on top of my Harbor Freight toolbox, we've got, I don't know, 5 or 6 boxes. It's all like seat parts, steering column. I think some C7 sensors and stuff too. So slowly getting everything out onto my store and on Facebook, and hopefully we can sell some of that stuff. One quick little update for tonight on the car is that I did get the steering wheel in. I know I showed it in the previous video, basically us assembling it, but I did not have it installed. You guys can see we did get it installed, and all the carbon fiber looks really good. Now the airbag is sitting up. I am fully aware of that. I'm basically gonna have to pull that airbag back out and adjust the spring mechanism in, because right now I think I have it all the way out. I think it's like a T25 or something like that. Maybe it's a T30. You tighten that down and that will suck the airbag closer into the steering wheel. As far as the seat heater control kit, I have some very bad news. Now what that is, it's the 3D printed part is basically destroyed. And what I mean by that is, you guys can hear me gathering the parts. I was sitting in the car mocking this up. It slipped out of my hand. It fell less than 2 feet. And this thing splittered into like 6 different pieces. Actually, I just lost a piece. There's another one. I have spoken with Darren, actually through email, not over the phone or anything, but Darren sent me the .stl file for this 3D printed centerpiece. Told him I'm not going to share it. We're not going to be producing or anything. We're just producing it for myself so we could get this kit fully installed in the car. So I've got one friend of mine that lives near me. He's going to print out a quick, dirty prototype just to see if we like it and if the file is good. I have a separate friend of mine with carbon fiber. I think it's PETG CF is the fancy name for it, but it's basically a carbon fiber reinforced plastic. So we'll get those prototypes, and if it fits good, we'll go ahead and get this part produced in a reinforced carbon fiber plastic. That way we don't have any issues of this falling apart when you drop it from just a foot or two from the ground. So, all right guys, I've got one of the prototypes for our C7 switch in, and as you guys can see, we actually have that installed here. It's not fully installed, but we just put it in for mock-up. You guys can see our switches. That's basically what they will look like. This is going to be pushed in all the way when we have the final version of this. Right now, I just have the switches sitting in here just to, you know, kind of mock up what it's going to look like. And yeah, so this is basically a 3D printed part. You slide your door open. We will have the ashtray in here with our switches. And then I might upgrade this to a USB port with 2 USB slots because I don't need a cigarette lighter anymore, to be honest. So yeah, we might end up putting up a set of USB-C ports into here. I just need to look at, see what the standard sizes are. When you're in the car, you'll have the radio, the HVAC, everything. You can sling this down. We'll have our switches here, and then we'll have a charger here. And one last thing before we go, you guys can see that 3D printed box there in the middle. That is the controller box. The 2 switches that we just showed you earlier, that is actually going to plug into that box. And then basically Moloche Designs wants you to stick that box up above the airbag sensor. So in this little pocket below the HVAC, below the radio, you're going to stick that in there, run your harnesses forward through the center console, and you know, you're going to plug in your switches. So yeah, big shout out to both David and Steven for getting those prototypes done and basically allowing us to wrap up this video. So, you know, kind of like I was saying, this is not going to be the final product. We're going to get this built in the PTEG-CF, basically the carbon fiber reinforced plastic. So we'll do a little bit of body work on the face of that carbon fiber piece. We'll paint it in the satin black from SEM. Basically, it's SEM trim black. We'll paint that, and that should match this pretty well. So that'll be coming in a couple weeks, and we'll show you the finished product in a later video. But yeah, I just wanted to get this out and show you the whole kit and everything, how it's going to work. So yeah, that's basically going to be it for this C7 controller video. Obviously, we don't have the whole car back together. We're waiting on a motor and whatnot, and we do have the wiring in the car, but you'll see that in a future video. If you guys want to see that, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications, and if you guys want to help support the channel, check out the links down below. I'll try to get you some part numbers that we used for the C7 kit, you know, the C6, the sensor. We actually bought that on Amazon. Some of the part numbers for the foam and the covers and all that, we'll include all that stuff down below. And also make sure you check out our website, BonecrrusherSS.com. Any support you can give there goes back right into the channel, these projects, the Corvette, the truck, the shop, and all that. I might have the C7 seat foams listed on eBay. I'm just not sure. I mean, I don't know what a used C7 lower is going to be going for. I had the uppers for sale for like a year. They didn't sell and they took up a lot of room, so I just ended up throwing them out. So that may end up happening to these GT lowers because I just don't know if there's a market for used seat foam that it has rust on the bottom of it. So I don't know, but we'll try that. If that's up there, that's great. So that's to be it. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.